Hello, everybody. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. And the Fauci testimonial today before Congress basically opens up the door for our revenge against the deep state. Right. So uh, basically, that testimony, there was no testimony from him, really. There was a statement at the beginning of the congressional hearing. But for all of the different congressmen and women that spoke. They were basically exposing a lot of the COVID lies and disinformation and everything else that happened during COVID. Now, we had to survive through that. We tried to inform as many people as possible. Unfortunately, 70 up to 70% of America and much more of the world, unfortunately, got that COVID shot. A lot of those COVID shots were laced with very deadly mRNA toxins, which basically, over time, for some people, almost instantaneously. I remember seeing one nurse that got shot and she fainted, and I heard that she died, although they covered it up quite extensively. But a lot of people died within days, hours after receiving the COVID shot because it basically destroyed their immune systems. And, whatever was in their bodies at the time that was being fought off was, able to overcome the resistance that their bodies had, and they died very quickly. So over time, this has been happening for a lot of people. Cancers that are go into hyper mode that have been in remission for decades or longer, and then they just go into hyper mode, and people have died from cancers and so forth. A lot of people, unfortunately, continue to get shots. The disinformation from that continues still to this day. Women that are pregnant are still being told that they need to get the shot, and that's devastating. A lot of women and their babies. A lot of women are losing their children in the womb, and they're dying. So this lie, this disinformation is still continuing. Like I said, those people that received the vaccination, yeah, they've kept their bodies going for a period of time, but we're seeing a lot of people are starting to, their bodies are finally starting to break down and they're passing on. So the numbers of people that have died from that, COVID itself was like a bad flu, which they developed. And maybe 1% of the population, maybe of the world, died from the COVID flu that they manufactured. But that manufacturing of the COVID was so that they could get lockdowns, they could steal elections, so that they could give, people that stealing elections, so that they could get people in positions of power that would allow them to steal. We're seeing the level of fraud is in epic proportions, not only in America, but across the world. And this will continue to be exposed, of course, but the damage has been done for the most part. People's lives were destroyed. Businesses were lost. People had to, take abuse from their family members and others that, were brainwashed into believing that the COVID vaccination was something that everyone should have, and that those that didn't were a threat to them. Well, as it stands, those people that got the vaccination are, as we said from the beginning, were going to be and are a threat to us. Their shedding is probably killing a lot of people as well. So this is something that was exposed in today's testimony. It's been slowly being exposed over time. There's lots of pushback that's been happening on this, and the dam, I think, is almost completely overwhelmed at this point. They stuck a lot of fingers in that dam. They stuck a lot of bodies in that dam. So bodies that they killed from the COVID lie. But the numbers of people that just because they're exposing it that are going to die from the vaccine is going to continue, right? There's lots of different things out there that people can do. Of course, if you're intuitive, you're probably already on LifeWave. Everyone that I've seen in shows and events that I've been to had their own if they've been exposed to COVID or taking a COVID shot, they're on LifeWave patches, and of course the water machine, which is next level. So, and those that aren't intuitive, good luck, right? So, I mean, that's the way it is. We're in a consciousness extension, or going into moving into the Aquarian age. There's a transition that goes from this dark age that we've been in into a golden age. And every time there's a transition, there's always, whether you're going from a golden age into a dark age, or whether you're going from a dark age into a golden age, that transition period is pretty eventful. Now, we've seen, in the last 12,000 years, we've seen the fall of Lemuria, Atlantis, and then there's been just these incredible wars for consciousness and control that are basically being stopped out now, right? And today's testimonials and so forth are the congressional hearing. I won't say testimonials, but the congressional hearings that we had today was a major push into higher consciousness realm. So what that will also do, it will open the door for those that have been suppressed, because I'm seeing other shows are starting to pop now about these vaccines and how they've been extremely damaging to humanity. So that's one of the things that is going to be very, very impactful. Those people that push this, those people that even people like some family members that got over aggressive with pushing the vaccinations on their families, doctors that push the vaccination, nurses that push the vaccination, hospitals that push the vaccination, sports teams that push the vaccination, political parties, political people throughout America that push the vaccination, law enforcement that enforce the bullshit, arresting people because they were showing up in games without masks on, and on and on and on. They're going to be held accountable, right? In some way, some fashion, some form. They will not be able to run. They will not be able to hide. They'll not be able to slither away like the snakes that they are, right? And if some of those family members are snakes, that so be it, right? They will suffer and they will pay for what they've done. All right. So let me jump over just real quick a statement from Craig Lund. He said he got way behind on sending thank you notices to everyone who donated for his legal fund. All right, so we met his initial 10,000. I guess they boosted up to 20,000 now because more things were tacked on that they're trying to fight. So he's trying to catch up, and he says he must say he feels ashamed. You have a very generous viewer base, and you guys are, I think, the most generous viewer base. You guys are most informed group. I watch a lot of other shows. Some of them I stopped watching because they're compromised at this point. There's so many influencers out there that have become compromised now. It's very sad. But my integrity and your integrity continues. I think that the people that are very informed and very high consciousness level are the ones that are watching this show. There's not a lot of us, right? So like we see on other shows, but that is because, those other shows are appealing to an audience that's not as informed, all right? Is not as awakened. They're still in their little baby step stage. So you guys, for the most part, are extremely well informed and generous, all right? So like I said, I watch the other shows. Some shows that have 10 times more viewers on social media, or 6 times more, depending on the influencer. And I saw that the numbers that they gave to Craig were significantly lower. So that stands to up to my statement that you guys are extremely informed in this channel. So thank you for that, and it's great to be part of a very informed group. All right, and that's something that I've been involved in my whole life, fortunately. But that's part of some of the things that I think a lot of us do. A lot of us are very well informed. We help inform a lot of people. We're involved in a lot of different things that is helping humanity. So I know that many of you are not just watching my show, but you're heavily involved in helping to wake humanity and creating a better world going forward. So it's very exciting times. So some of the things that are out there that I look at that are troubling, like I said, are the where they're going into still going into hospitals and so forth. There's still people in these hospitals. These hospitals are completely corrupt, most of them, right? I highly recommend you don't go into a hospital unless you're absolutely no question about it. You have a broken leg, it's coming due to fracture, your bone's sticking out. You're gonna have to go in, right? So you're not going to be able to hide that and heal that on your own. So you're going to there's good doctors for that that are out there, but get the hell out of that hospital as soon as you can, and don't sign anything. All right, they'll have you sign stuff where they're going to when no one's looking, you're unconscious from being sedated, they're going to vaccinate the hell out of you, right? And that's going to kill you. And they'll steal your organs and all kind of crazy stuff. And this is going on in these hospitals, guys. So these hospitals are killing fields. They started becoming killing fields back during COVID. Most of them completely compromised, right? So be very, very careful of going into these hospitals. At some point, this is going to change, but it's not happened yet. So just be informed, be aware, and do the best that you can to stay out of these hospitals. All right. So like I said, there's lots of different things out there. That you can cure yourself and, keep yourself well and so forth. And I'm constantly having people on that talks about that to help all of us, not just because I want to help people out there, but myself as well. So if I find something that's very good and I know that it will help you guys, and of course I'm getting it out there, and of course you guys chat a little bit in the audience, but be aware that some people are going to make recommendations, and all they are is recommendations, guys, in the chat. Same thing. If they're doing natural solutions or solutions, I don't have a problem with that. But if someone's trying to promote something else in there, just be aware of that. And we're probably going to take that out of there if they do. All right. So today, like I predicted, I'm predicting for a while, the Fed has set on the interest rate. They didn't raise rates today, although everybody was saying they did not. They will not raise rates ever. All right, probably ever again, in my opinion, because I think the Fed eventually goes away. But in the meantime, they're not going to raise rates, and at some point they'll reduce rates, and because they're usually behind what's really happening in the economy, when they will lower rates, that's probably when the stock market's going to crash, or it's already in a crash mode, one or the other, right? When that happens, I don't know. We're seeing some economies that are crashing. Korea, stock market's crashing. I think it's down close to 50%, which it bubbled up big, fast, right? So it's not that big of a deal. It's down 50% because it was up way more than that. Now, today, like I said, the stock market will probably turn around. The dollar will probably go down. The dollar did go down pretty significantly today. Of course, precious metals went up today. After hours, precious metals are still going up. I think this is the turnaround we've been waiting for precious metals, but it remains to be seen. I've been heavily into silver during this downturn. Every penny that I get, I put into silver that I can manage to put in there. And I hope you guys have been doing the same thing. Hope you've not been selling your silver. You got panicked and sold your silver. You're going to hate yourself if you did that badly, right? Because this thing's getting ready to turn around, I believe, and really rocket higher, much, much higher than it's ever been. 120, we're going to laugh at that. 120th, yeah, whatever. All right, so now when will it happen? Will it happen tomorrow? No, of course not. But it will begin. It began today. It turned around today, and we'll see what happens over the next several days. We need to get through resistance at 60. That might happen in the next couple of days. If that does, it closes above 60 by Friday close. I think that we're seeing the turnaround, and then we'll keep going up. Now, what does this mean for everybody else that can't afford to invest in silver? It means that the beginning of the end of the economy, right? So those of you that are unfortunately not in a position to benefit from what will be one of the greatest wealth makers in history, I think, of mankind, precious metals, then you're going to watch the rest of the economy collapse, and that will be a good thing because at some point it will benefit you, right? I don't know when, but if you're later in life, maybe not so much. You're going to have to survive through some tough times. Maybe some of you are done already. I don't know. It's this is not the time to give up. This is the time to rejoice and celebrate. Because things are really going to collapse. The things that have been controlling us, the medical industry, the political system, and political systems will collapse over time. Medical systems will collapse over time. Economies will collapse over time. This one will be much different. Of course, it won't be the massive destruction that happened during Atlantean times, where that complete continent sunk into the sea. And who knows, maybe it got struck by an asteroid or something from a war. So I've heard that recently. So that is a possibility, because how could it have, just earth changes have, swallowed that whole continent up? It makes much more sense that there was a war and they got hammered. So, we've seen the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt is basically a planet that was in that where the planets go round and round. So, and it got blown up, just like we've seen in Star Wars, where they come in and they blow up planets. So that's just basically showing us, the history and so forth of what's been happening in our galaxy, in our solar system, right? So a lot of this stuff is coming. Some of you, it's way too early for you to understand it, and it's way too impactful for you to take it on, because maybe your religious beliefs and so forth don't allow that to come in. But you're going to have to change that, right? You're going to have to change your religious beliefs. Religions, have come and gone over time as well. And these religions that everyone is hooked into will go, right? They will go. And there will be more enlightenment that will come, as far as what the God energy is really all about, and how the rest of our galaxy and the universe is, what they really focus on. So we have been compromised and abused on many different levels, and that's getting ready to basically be exposed. And those that are trapped into those systems will not want to go forward, and they'll either suicide themselves, or they'll just decide to quit eating, quit living, just decide they're not going to go forward, and just their bodies will go to that consciousness, which is will take them out of this reality. So there's lots of people that do that. I saw this with my parents, with my grandparents, when the father figure died in both cases. Then the mother or the spouse was gone within a year. So that was a decision that they made, and you can see that pattern in a lot of people today, right? So it's pretty rough living through this transition phase into the golden age. Like I said, this always happens. There's always a collapsing of systems that are abusive. Now, some of this abuse is being exposed, and we're seeing that. And Dr. Fauci got an earful today, and we got to see a lot of that. Highly recommend, if you haven't seen any of it, or this is all you need to see, listen to this and you'll be happy.
These individuals doing in the depth of the pandemic in November of 2020, when millions of Americans were suffering from COVID, what were they doing? I tell you what they're doing. FAUCI'S was on your behalf soliciting and gathering information for a cash award. Let's look at it. We've got his email right here, right over my shoulder. FAUCI'S says, I'm working on this nomination for the Dan David Award for Fauci. We need to beef up the COVID part. Do you have language in the can that you could share that delineates how we responded in new ways to COVID? He sends this to multiple federal employees. What was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
It was.
All right, the Fifth Amendment under the Constitution protects you from government abuse, all right? In this case, it's not government abuse. It is exposure to we the people. We the people are calling for this monster to be exposed, and this is what's happening. So this monster and the monsters that are behind him are, you can see him when he was holding up his paper to read it, his initial statement. He's visibly shaking. He's shaking in his boots, all right? Because these people know that the buzzsaw is spinning, and it's getting ready to go up in there where the sun doesn't shine and saw them in half, right? So this is something that's coming, and they know it. Some of them already suffered from it, and more of them are moving in that direction. There will be a lot of this, a lot of these people buzzsawed in the coming months, years going forward. Some of them will slither away and hide, but we will find them and we'll buzzsaw them as well.
$900,000 cash award. $900,000 cash award. And he got it.
For killing Americans and spreading this mRNA death shot around the world.
Because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. Here they are over my shoulder. Besides the Dan David Award, you've got the Partnership for Public Service. You've got the Adelson Prize. You've got the Smithsonian Award. You've got the National Academy of Medicine's Award. You've got the CDC Foundation. In fact, you turned your staff into a full-time application machine. You actually wrote to people and said, do you think maybe I'd qualify? And you got cash for all of this. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 employees, was it? In fact, you used 8 separate federal employees on federal time using federal resources to solicit cash awards. Isn't that true?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Here they are right over my shoulder. Here's all of them.
All right. I saw one report. It was over 100. I saw another report. It was 111 times that he pleaded the Fifth Amendment, which is basically he knows that if he says the truth, then that's going to be held against him. So he's hiding the truth. And at some point, he gets buzzsawed. All right, guys. And I guess next week they're going to vote on whether they're going to hold him accountable for not testifying. We'll see how far this goes. But he is the head of the deep state right now. He is he is their man out in front. So when we see him buzzsawed, there's going to be quite a lot of stirring going on. Now, I believe that, Graham and some of the, I don't know if there's maybe we'll see Mitch McConnell ever again. Maybe both of those. Well, we know one is definitely gone. But will McConnell eventually go bye-bye, or they have a body double that pops out? Who knows? But I believe he's gone. I believe, obviously, that we've seen other people that have gone. Who's going to be next? My guess will be Thune. All right. I think that Thune is the next one to have some kind of accident or some kind of disease hit him very, very quickly. I could be wrong, but I'm just taking a wild guess because of his actions as far as like preventing the Save America Act from going through. President Trump has spoken that he's disappointed. He says he's disappointed because that is not good for the Republican Party. All right, so it's almost like he has washed his hands of both parties, and he's going to let them fall where they fall. So this is part of Fauci is enriched themselves off of, and probably of course a lot of other people, because there was billions and billions of dollars that have gone missing in COVID help funds or whatever you could call them, and these guys have benefited. They've stolen money from the American public. He's used the American public employees, federal employees that we pay for to help enrich himself. So all of this is being exposed, but there's so much more to be exposed, and we're just getting started.
The people that you use, federal employees, so that you could go and get cash money. And the most hilarious part is that you weren't content to even dragoon them into applying for all of these cash awards. You then had them go out to the ethics agencies and ethics watchdogs and demand that you be able to get the money. That's right. We've got it in your emails. Your staff and employees on federal time, using federal resources, being paid with federal dollars, are soliciting cash for you, and then they're turning around and $1 million. You got over $1 million in cash awards during COVID, during a 12-month, 24-month span during COVID. $1 million you knocked down in cash money using federal resources. Now you're worth more than $12 million. You've got a pension that in its first year paid out north of $400,000 a year. 1 million people dead, you're getting rich. 1 million people dead, you're using federal employees to get cash awards for you. 1 million people dead, and you're here taking the fifth because you don't want to admit that what really happened in all that time was a multi-month, multi-year course of self-dealing. Isn't that true, Dr. Fauci?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
All right, we turn now to Capitol Hill, where Dr. Anthony Fauci is invoking his Fifth Amendment right during a hearing on the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Fauci served as the chief medical advisor to both President Trump and President Biden during the COVID-19 pandemic. And today, he's so far refusing to answer questions from the Senate Homeland Security Committee about his handling of the pandemic and his alleged ties to the lab in Wuhan, where one theory is that the pandemic and the virus originated. Here are some of the highlights.
My decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions. Thank you.
Let's now bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. Caitlin, so what's happened in the hearing so far since we last checked in with you, and what's been happening in the hallways outside? Because I know sometimes a lot of the action is out there.
That's right, Adriana. A lot of commotion outside of here. We've kind of been going back and forth into the hearing. And as you mentioned, Dr. Fauci has exerted his Fifth Amendment right in these proceedings. He started with his opening statement saying that he was going to do so because, in his words, Senator Paul, the chairman of this committee, has, quote, an unhinged obsession, in his words, with Dr.
All right. So that is the Mockingbird media that's going to repeat this over and over again. So his initial statement where he says this is all about Rand Paul is basically going after me, he's unhinged. So as you're seeing here, the Mockingbird media, which is the deep state media, is going to repeat that over and over, and that's all the stupid people, the flocks of people that are sheeple, are going to hear. All right. They're not going to hear what you just heard, where he was profiting from at least 1 million. All right. So there's way more than 1 million people that have died from the COVID vaccine. Way more people that have died from that. Tens and tens of millions just here in America and around the world. Way more. So I would say closer to probably 50 million people have died. That's the number that I believe. Before it's all done, I say 1.5 billion will die from the COVID vaccinations. And we're going to see that at some point. All right. So the GOP plans to vote on contempt.
I'm Christine Frizzau on Capitol Hill, where the man once referred to as America's doctor appeared before a Senate committee and said very little. Dr. Anthony Fauci was issued a subpoena and required to appear just a few days after more than 1,000 pages of his personal diary were released to the public. For the former director of allergy and infectious diseases at the National Institutes of Health, the questions piled on for nearly 3 hours.
Can you explain to the committee why you chose to fund this dangerous research in China?
Were you given the ability to see this document unredacted?
From Dr. Anthony Fauci, it was always the same answer.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
That decision to plead the Fifth more than 100 times called into question by some Republicans because Dr. Fauci received a pardon from President Joe Biden before he left office.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned.
It's against the law to obstruct an investigation of Congress. There will be repercussions to your refusal to testify today.
Dr. Fauci accusing Homeland Security Committee Chairman Rand Paul of having an unhinged obsession with him for years.
The only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars, unquote.
The hearing growing.
Now, you know that Rand Paul was attacked by his neighbor, a Democrat, who he nearly died from that attack. All right. And that was a warning from the deep state to back down. Of course, he did back down for a certain extent. But now we're seeing the shackles are coming off, guys. And we're going to see a lot more stuff that's really going to start come out. And that's because of this congressional hearing. It's going to open the door for all of those people that have been cowering in the background. Some of them just waiting for the opportunity, and maybe not so much cowering, but knowing that if they came forward, they and or their families would be subject to death, all right, in some cases. And they were probably threatened. And I've heard that from many people, that there are people within the Democrat Party that want to come out, but they are threatened.
Contentious at times.
Who the do you think you were for doing that? So
this Senator Bernie Moreno, he talked about how during 2020, when he saw the lockdown, the masking and the forced vaccinations and all that stuff, the military and so forth, he sold all of his businesses and determined that he was going to go into, which is what we always want to see. He was going to go into politics and do the right thing. And here he is, several years later, as a senator from Ohio, doing the right thing. Bravo.
Total disgrace what you did to this country.
Chairman Paul at one point also had one of Fauci's lawyers removed.
Sir, you are not recognized. You are not recognized. Security.
For speaking out of turn. Democrats accusing Republicans of not actually being concerned with public health based on the millions of dollars in cuts they've made.
Unfortunately, I fear the intent of this hearing is only meant to further a purely partisan agenda and it will not make Americans safer.
At the conclusion of the hearing.
All right, so here we go. The clown Democrat Party, you heard the statement. These guys are going to be held responsible, and they're going to be probably buzzsawed, right? Cut in half at some point. So, you know, we've talked about firing squads, hangings, and, you know, maybe even, you know, lethal injections. I think we should bring on the buzzsaw, right? Cut them in half, right? So, those guillotine bullshit, right? Cut their asses in half. All right. So this is, you know, moving in that direction. I'd hate to see that really happen, right? But this is the way that things are going for these people. All right. Buzzsaw judicial system is coming, right? And these people are, like I said, going to run. Drawn and quartered. Yeah, that's weak. Buzzsaw slowly from down below. Right, slowly. All right. So this cut them in half. Cut them in half. They don't deserve anything other than that. So now, yeah, drawn and quartered is slow, but you know, it's takes time, and the horses get tired, and you know, there's a mess, and somebody's got to clean it up. And you're probably like, well, buzzsaw is going to cause a lot of flinging that stuff all over the place. Yeah, but maybe we do it in a tube or something. I don't know, a clear tube. So I'm just joking. All right. So we're probably going to see, you know, this craziness with the Fifth Amendment being pulled up over and over again. We're gonna hopefully find out what happens when someone does that. The Fifth Amendment, of course, serves as a vital safeguard for individual rights within the American legal system, ensuring fair treatment and protecting against government abuse. There is no government abuse going on here. There's fact finding. And if you're not helping the government discover facts of your abuse, then there's going to be some, you know, buzzsaw repercussions. So, all right. So I don't, you know, choose not to get involved. We'll see what happens. All right. Now, what we're seeing, I believe, with the wars that are happening out there is we're going to see collapses. I believe these wars are going to continue. I said early on that we need boots on the ground, and we need to just hammer the hell out of Iran until it's done, until they're gone. Why do we keep piecemealing these attacks? Well, let's go back in time. This is the only thing that I've been able to discern from this. Remember, when the Biden administration was in office, they sent massive numbers of missiles, missile defense, money, and so forth to Ukraine to fight Russia, because Europe is in a depression. NATO should have been disbanded long ago, but for it to continue, because it had to continue, because there were so many people on the dole with NATO, that they couldn't do away with it. Otherwise, you know, their money laundering system goes away. So they have to continue to create. NATO was created because of the threat of Russia going into Europe. What does Europe have that Russia needs? Nothing, right? Absolutely nothing. And Europe has been destroying itself. Remember when they blew up the Russian oil pipeline? That was, cut off their nose to spite their face. And now they're like suffering from, not having enough oil. Oil reserves also under Biden were reduced. This was all part of a plan because they knew that if worst case scenario, they weren't able to continue and Trump came back into office, that he would probably shut down Iran. He would go after Iran, right? Because he had already been doing that in his first administration. So they knew that it was a progressive thing that if he got back into office, that he would go in and he would take down Iran. So they made sure that it was going to be extremely difficult for him to do that. So they gave almost all the missile systems to Ukraine. This is what I'm determining. I don't know. I'm not in the stockpile system, but there's been a lot of people who have said that the stockpiles are low. And what would have caused that? All right. Hello. While we were sending our missiles over to Ukraine, everybody was hollering, "What are you doing? If we get into some kind of conflict, you're giving away our stockpiles." So that seems to be the reason why this is not going forward on a more massive scale. So we had that, okay, we're having peace agreements. We need to go on a war footing. America needs to go on a war footing and start producing on a massive scale munitions, right? So that we can defeat Iran. This thing's going to drag on. It's going to drag on for a while. I'm seeing for a while because we're not going after this like we should be, right? So by not doing that, it moves it on. And Russia is going to do their thing in Ukraine. They're not just destroying the Azov and Nazis in Ukraine. They're destroying also all of Europe because Europe is throwing everything that they have. Their war capability is completely zero, almost zero now. They've thrown everything into Ukraine that they had, right? Now, Germany is rebuilding. They're going on a war footing. I've heard this from several people. Some of them are part of the munition development factories and so forth, that Germany has been quietly for, over a year now, been going high mode into producing munitions, right? Don't think that Russia's not watching that, right? So we have, whenever everything else fails, they take us to war, and that's what's happening with Europe. Europe is they keep saying they're on a war footing, but guess what's happening to Europe? They're burning. Right? They're burning. America is burning, right? America is burning. It's very tragic, but this is part of the transition that we're going through. The Earth is heating up from all the, the sun's fluctuations and energies that's coming into the Earth, and it's heating up from that, electrically heating up. This shouldn't have been part of the process, but it is happening. We should be in a cooling phase, and we have been in a cooling phase, even though they kept saying that we're going into global warming. It was a lie. There's more ice in the North and South poles than there's been in a long time. So this will continue. But in the meantime, the energies for earthquakes and volcanoes and the eventual tsunamis is going to increase. I think there's going to be something very significant within the next week or two in earthquake activity. Very, very significant. And you're like, what, more? Yeah, way more. We're going to see well into the 8s like I predicted. Probably California, right? So somewhere on the West Coast. Maybe not necessarily California itself, but I think maybe some pretty good earthquake activity. I keep feeling it coming, and then it kind of like it transitions, it dies off, and then it builds back up again. I'm like, what is going on? We're jumping timelines or something here. And I think that's happening, which is a good thing. Prayer can have a positive effect. But at some point, things have to transition, right? And part of that transition, I believe, is going to be some of these things that are going to collapse. All right, so let's look at a little bit more of, testimony. This happened, I think, a couple of months ago, but it gives you an idea of this hidden hand behind the scenes that is controlling America and the world.
Was Director Haynes, Avril Haynes, was she involved in making the decision not to release the material?
So this is May 13th, right? A couple months back. This stuff they've been grinding this along and grinding up the deep state, guys. It's getting close.
I don't have any proof that she was involved in the direct decision. I have no emails saying that directly, but
It was her office, and it's her signature on the letter to me. It's her office that sent the 5 pages. She's the one who said, "This is what we have. This is all we have." You're telling me there were 2,000 plus documents.
No, I'm
they
telling you
sent us
that
5.
the first swath of documents that
Oh,
we're
I see.
looking to, there's
There may be
many more than that.
I got you. Many, many more. Let me tell you what this so-called 5-page report, what it said in its substance, to the extent there was any. They said, number one, that nothing that was researched at the Wuhan lab could plausibly be a progenitor of SARS-CoV-2. Number two, they said there is no evidence of any research-related incident involving Wuhan employees that might have been related to the pandemic. Now, in your experience, given what you have seen, are those true statements?
Some of that would have to be covered and classified, but no, they're not true.
Uh-huh.
If we wanted to get into details, I don't believe that's true.
So the United States government first deliberately violated a law passed by Congress, signed by the president, that ordered them to release all information related to the Wuhan lab, number one. Number two, they then violated the law again by withholding thousands and thousands of pages that they had at the time and knew were covered by the law. And number three, the conclusions, so-called, they released to the public are false. If that is not a cover-up, I don't know what is. And if our elected officials and unelected officials in this case, in the IC and ODNI, if they can get by with blatantly violating the statutes of this country and lying to the American people, I'm sorry, but we don't have a democracy anymore. I don't know what it is, but it's not a democracy because we, the people, aren't in charge. These people are in charge, and they're lying to us every single day. You said in your opening statement that Dr. Fauci, speaking of someone who's not exactly a truth teller, that Dr. Fauci intervened to put his thumb on the scale of what information the intelligence community, the IC, could review when they did their initial assessments of whether or not the Wuhan lab was linked.
All right, so Fauci put his thumb on the scale of information, like Josh Hawley is talking about. They were given 5 documents with some redaction, and they were told that's all that they had. So this admiral should be held in contempt because this person from Director of National Intelligence, this gentleman, is saying that they have 2,000 documents. Now, this admiral said there were only 5, but this investigator from DNI, it says they have at least and more. They have at least 2,000 and a lot more they're still reviewing. 2,000 documents that are proving, like what I said back in early 2020. In January 2020, I was saying that the Wuhan lab had developed the COVID strain, right? COVID-19 strain. I said that in January 2020. Of course, that was denied. Anyone that said that, was a liar. And then eventually, year and a half, or however long it took, they finally admitted that it was developed in the Wuhan lab, and Dr. Fauci was involved in funding it. And I said that the military, when I said that Wuhan lab was doing it, I said that the military, our military, was involved in that process. So now that, as you're seeing here, this admiral is covering up information that would have given us the insight that was definitely the case. And now we have the Director of National Intelligence group has gone in and has found all of this paperwork, over 2,000 documents and more to be revealed eventually, instead of 5 that didn't point to anything. Wow. So again, like Senator Hawley saying, we have these individuals that are non-elected that are making decisions for we the people and keeping us in the dark on things that affect our health and well-being. All right. So developing these, taking a bat and on his spine, inserting, after you dig through, 3 layers of bat guano, whatever, and you find some kind of, something living in there, and you're like, take it out, and you're like, well, maybe this could, affect a human through airborne disease, and you stick it on the spine of that bat, and then it develops something which does make it airborne. That's not good, right? And this is what these clowns are doing. They're not doing it to research gain of function for our health and our benefit. They're doing it to kill us, right? So this is being exposed. We have senators like Hawley and others that are exposing it. Paul and many others. Now it's all coming out. That's right, Katie. Somebody got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to expose it. Reptilians are building bunkers. They built them from through many thousands of years where they go hide during the last major Earth change that happened here on Earth. We're not going to have major Earth changes this time, guys. There'll be some, of course, but this is just a transition phase. They created bioweapons with all this stuff, and that was their intent. That was the intent of the military, to use them as a bioweapon. And then, of course, have people within the military, they're hybrid friggin' Draco reptilians, and they love to feast on, human flesh and so forth. So they're part of the problem. They need to be buzzsawed. You're going to have to really have a tough buzzsaw, because once that starts, then they're going to transition back into, their reptilian side, which is, tough to get through that. So we're going to have some very powerful buzzsaws, very sharp. All right. They're still, I agree with Gene Decode. They're still bombing the DUMBs, the deep DUMBs. Now, when I was in SEAL Team 6, I was part of and everybody came to us because we were developing, demolitions. So specialized demolitions, and some of those demolitions were going to be used for, blowing deep into tunnels. Now they have to make sure there's not, children and other humans, or even, unfortunately, hybrids. They've been hybridizing children and others in these tunnel systems for quite some time. So they have to be saved too. All right. So, there's a war in, there's a war out, bringing them out. And then once that's done, we know that the tunnel systems are just infected with them. Then it's thermobaric bombs. We basically, fill those tunnels with a aerosolized explosive. And then once that main munition goes off, it rips through that tunnel for miles. And that's some of the earthquake activity that you're seeing. Some of it, not all of it, of course, because we are going through earthquake activity for real. All right. So that's all I'm going to share today. There's a lot more that's happening. We're watching, how this unfolds. There's so much to talk about. It's quite eventful. Again, the economy is probably going to go up, and for the last time, you'll see other economies are going to collapse. Our economy, for the most part, is in collapse in a lot of different ways. The problem with the fuel is going to be really impactful around the world. It already is. Lufthansa is canceling flights. Canada is canceling flights down into America, which is crazy to me because they have a lot of oil in Alberta, which basically funds all of Canada. So that's why Alberta needs to go away from Alberta and come to America, or create its own country, right? And Canadians deserve that. Of course, not all Canadians. There's many Canadians, just like there's a few Americans that are compromised. And we'll see a lot of them, unfortunately, probably go bye-bye, right? Or be marginalized to the point where they're going to starve themselves out, because there will be starvation around the world. It's coming. All right. And the fertilizer problem, that's happening from not only Ukraine's not, putting out the food source anymore because, the war with Russia. And you have Iran that's blocking the Strait of Hormuz, and all of the, I think a very fairly significant percentage of fertilizer came out of, that area. It was, manufactured, and that's not coming out. So that's already starting to affect crops and so forth. Of course, the fires, that are happening around the world, that's a problem. We have drought, significant drought around the world. And so a lot of these things, no, I take my mustache off occasionally, so it'll grow back at some point in the future. But I transition like this. Should have seen me when I used to go overseas. I transitioned into, a Middle Easterner. So that was pretty wild. But who burned down all the processing plants? We haven't seen too much of that anymore. Of course, that was happening during the Obama administration. So yeah, that's still impactful. Just like, them depleting the oil reserves, which President Trump, almost had them topped off. And then Biden basically put them down almost zero. And now everybody's crying that, they always blame Trump. It's insane. And, once they lie, several times, and the Mockingbird media over and over and over again, then people believe the lie. And that's just stupid. They don't need to do a little research. Biden basically, sucked them down. He stopped the oil, that was happening around the country. Stopped the oil that was coming from Alberta. Trump turned it back on. Trump had it going, and that hurt supplies. But Biden just sucked it out of the oil reserves, and that's supposed to be for wartime. A lot of us were calling attention to that, but did that matter? No. They're killing us with a COVID shot, and people are dying from that. And people are like, screaming that people need to get their COVID shots and wear their mask, while they're sending all of our munitions to Ukraine, and depleting the oil reserves, and many other things. Like some people were saying, in the chat, destroying our livestock. They were directed energy weapon attacking our livestock in the fields. That was happening in Texas and so forth. And of course, burning down our cities, Lahaina, and Malibu, and other places in California over the years during Biden's reign, and not during Trump's, but during Biden, and of course during Obama. So this is part of the Democrat Party, the deep state. The Democrat Party is the deep state. If you're part of the Democrat Party, you're part of the deep state. And as long as you stay there, knowing that, you should be part of the buzzsaw brigade, right? And we need to build some nice see-through tunnels so that, you know, those buzzsaws can work, and we just send people through their mass. Whole Democrat Party, just send them right through the buzzsaw. Boom, boom, boom. And you'll see America, you know, basically turn around very quickly. And of course, some of those Republicans got to go through there too. So we have, as we saw, several good ones, but there's many others that are not. All right. Buzz lasers. That's a good one, because that would just burn through. That's good. So we just burn right through them with a laser buzzsaw. So that'll just you know, it'll cut them in half, and it'll cauterize them at the same time, kind of like a direct energy weapon. That's good. That's good. So see, we got some creativity here, and you know, we got the most informed group on the planet, I think, here. Of course, we have a little fun. We don't expect these guys to get buzzsawed and wood chippered, but we kind of think that they should be. But will that really happen? No, probably not. Something else. The laser buzzsaw. I think that's a better one, better alternative. So that way you don't have to put them in like some kind of see-through tunnel. You just put them out in the open. Wow. Plasma cutter. There's see, getting better. Sharks with lasers. Sharks with lasers. Just put them in Shark Tank, and and our crocodile. I saw this one. Somebody was out in the wild, and there was like these hyenas. They're on this hippopotamus, and they're biting on it. It's like 3 of them, and this hippopotamus ran to the water, and it was full of crocodiles. And the crocodiles basically took one of those hyenas and just, and then the other ones like tried to run away, and I don't know what happened to them, but it was a crocodile pond. Yeah. So throw them in a crocodile pond or the shark pit, and or whatever. And you know, pigs do the same thing. Pigs just like, they eat everything. All right. So, and that's the way some of the mafia guys, they want somebody to disappear, just, you know, shoot them, throw them in the pig pen, and they're gone. So, you know, in the future, justice is going to be served. What kind of justice Fauci get? Who knows? Was that even Fauci? It didn't look like him to me, but, you know, somebody playing a part so that, you know, whatever happened to the other Fauci, you know, when the Fauci, you know, trial goes on and he's convicted and sentenced to death, which of course he's going to get, and he gets the laser, you know, buzzsaw or the plasma buzzsaw, whichever. We're going to see, like, I mean, the clone Fauci that was designed just for that one thing. Who knows? The body double of JFK that was in the car. You know, whoever they put in JFK Jr.'s plane. You know, somebody that was already deceased, and they just, you know, remotely flew it, and it crashed. And when they used the remote detonation device on it, I don't know. So we'll see. I think a lot of the stuff, and it will just go forward, and most of us won't even know the difference. But we'll see justice done. So that's the future. And a lot of these, some of them that will run, they'll be hunted down, and you won't know that they'll be hunted down, and they'll be, you know, they'll resist. They're always going to resist, maybe when they get hunted down, and then eliminated somewhere, you know, on some island somewhere that they bought. So they're hiding out. All right. So rambling enough. So I think that's good. We covered a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff is coming. This congressional hearing today was the beginning, I think, of a massive deep state collapse on another level, public collapse of the deep state. So very, very good times. And we're going to see this happen. Justice will be done. All right. All right, guys. Lots of love. Stay in the love vibration. And I'll see you guys next time.